Hey everybody, I am Tef and today we are going to talk about the very first sneak peek email for the 2022-2023 Erin Condren LifePlanners. I am so excited. For anybody who doesn't know, I am doing this live and then I will make the replay available to watch as a video. So if you're here live, thank you so much. If you're here watching the replay, thank you so much. But if you are here live, you have the benefit of being able to put your comments in the live chat. And then after I'm done going over the analysis, I will go ahead and go back through the chat and respond to your comments or ideas. I know last time when I talked about my predictions for the new Erin Condren planners, there were some really cool things that came up that I hadn't thought of. So I love the idea of being able to bounce off of each other like during the stream/video and not just in the comments afterwards. Speaking of comments, if you are watching the replay, please do leave a comment letting me know what you think about the information that we have so far for these amazing new life planners. I am just so excited. And before we get into it, I will say that it looks like Erin Condren is going to be releasing the sneak peek emails on Mondays this year, and I got mine in the morning. So we'll be doing the streams in the afternoon around 2 or 2:30 Pacific time. This week I did it at 2 my time because I had a conflict. I'm going to aim for 2:30 going forward though, but just keep an eye on everything on YouTube. I will make sure to set an event for the streams at least a couple hours ahead of time. That way you can see exactly what time I'm going live. If you want notifications or anything like that, feel free to hit subscribe and the bell. You guys probably know the drill. So with all of that, let's go ahead and jump in. This is Coco, by the way. We do have Opal wandering around. She's the black cat. And yeah, they're both the banes of my existence and the loves of my lives, I guess. Anyway, this is the sneak peeks page that is linked in the email, and I have linked that in the description box down below if you want to check out this page for yourself. If you're an Erin Condren insider, you should have gotten the email. There's some information in the email, but there's a lot more on the web page, so we're just going to be going down the web page for time purposes. If you are not an Erin Condren insider and haven't signed up at all with them, I also have a link down below where you can sign up as an Erin Condren insider, and as a new shopper/member, you also get $10 off your first purchase. So go ahead and use that coupon if you haven't made a purchase from Erin Condren before. And as you can see at the top, they're still doing 50% all of their 2022 dated calendars and planners. So if you want a deal on a 2022 planner, you can definitely do that. Or you can hang tight for the new release that's coming out and just, do the July to June cycle like a lot of us do because we geek out about these planners. So as you can see here, we have, it's been cycling through a few different things on the banner with these sneak peeks. And so these are our 3 new themes, kind of 4 because one of them has a colorful and a neutral. So we're going to go ahead and scroll down the page and take a look at what's here. So the first theme that we have, and what I like to think of as the main theme, since we do have multiple themes, is harmony. And the reason why I think of it kind of as the main theme is because not only is it the first one that they're listing, but it's also the one that has both the colorful and the neutral options, whereas the other 2 just kind of are what they are. As a designer, I love the fact that they had the little color swatches here. That is just so much fun. And if I ever want to make a sticker that matches those colors, that makes it significantly easier for me. So I do love that. And then we also get a little look at the layout of the planners here. Let's go ahead and zoom in. Oh, will it let me zoom in? There we go. Okay. And let's see. I'm trying to zoom in so it's a little bigger, but I'm not completely blocking it with my head. So we'll get a better look at that later, but I just wanted to point that out. I also love, I'm not sure if you can see it because of my head. Maybe next time I should move my head over to this side of the screen since I feel like this side always blocks stuff. Anyway, I love how they showed some of their inspirations with the tissue paper and the felt. I just find that so fun. And let's go to the next one. So this is showing the neutral version of the theme. So we have the those are the two in harmony, showing that. So here is the neutral version, definitely much more neutral, toned down colors, but I still do like that there is some color differentiation. I am definitely the kind of person that when I think neutral doesn't necessarily think black and white for everything. Though, again, we'll go through this a little bit more later. For the actual spreads, everything is pretty black and white and probably some gray in there, so that if you do want to cover the whole page with stickers and not have stuff poking out, you don't have to worry about it. Next, here we have the Bloom, I think that's what it was called, Bloom Into Your Best Self. So this is the flowered one. I know last year we had a floral one, this year we have another one. And again, we'll see a little bit later that the actual planner layout is neutral, but you do have some of the florals on the side, whereas with the last neutral one that we talked about, we didn't have any of those decorations. So this is for somebody who wants more of a neutral layout, but also wants the little things on the side, maybe spice things up. And then we have the last one, which is Joyful and Bright. And I have to say, I like this one a lot more than last year's third theme, which I think was called Flower Power or something like that. Or not Flower Power. It was something similar to that. I forget what it was, but it just really wasn't my jam. It was very bold, but it was not necessarily my kind of bold. Retro, maybe it was? Ugh, I should stop. I'm just rambling on. So anyway, I love kind of the rainbow gradient, and you can see here that they have the gradient throughout the pages, and this is definitely more of a colorful one. And I love, I'm not sure if you can tell from this picture here. Oh, sorry. And again, we'll look at it a little bit more later, but the gradient is actually through the banners, which is so cool. I love it. And I think that is it in this part that we can go through. So let us go through each of the individual ones. Okay, here's one where me being on this side doesn't clash. So I think we're just gonna have to deal with it. So as you can see here, we have much more detailed information for all of the spreads. And I know that when I'm looking at the new planners, I love digging into the spreads, what they look like, and specifically what the changes are going to be. As I'm going through all this, I'm sure I'll mention it again, but I tend to use the vertical planners. I don't tend to like the traditional horizontal planning style. So I'm not saying that's not valid. Obviously, I know people love horizontal and hourly and daily. That's just not my personal jam, but I'm also saying this because it means that I'm a lot more familiar with the vertical style and what changes are being made. And I also happen to have a vertical planner right in front of me. So I'll probably be opening it to some of these spreads so that I can take a look and like actually just kind of make comparisons, you know, look down and look at the screen, etc. So as you can see here, we have the monthly layout. So let me go ahead and open here. And just so everybody knows, I didn't end up putting anything on this monthly layout, but this was like the quote unquote main theme from last year. So that's what I'm comparing this to in my space. Obviously it's a different month, so it's going to be a different color. I like how the banner up here is, go away. I don't want all your pop-ups, go away. Anyway, I like how it doesn't take up quite as much space as some of the other ones do on both sides. Obviously this one doesn't have the month title, so it does go down a little bit more. And I love how this little strip of paper or whatever it is goes over notes, and it is just aligned so beautifully so that it's very much not symmetrical, but just beautiful. I love it. And I also just love the way like the paper pattern and the see-through transparency has been printed here. As far as other things go, I'm not seeing a lot of changes to this particular spread. It looks like the month is a little bit further, it's a little bit smaller and a little bit further down than last year. And the year is bigger. Here, I just popped open January so you can see what I'm talking about. See what I'm talking about? So there's that. And over here, you'll see that the text where it says notes is white instead of black because they wanted to make it white to be more contrasty with the background. We're also seeing some holidays here, which we've seen in the past. I don't remember if this particular version of the planner did it last year, but I know that in the past, Erin Condren has had some of the big holidays in the planner printed there. And then they've also provided a sheet. They did do it in this one. They also provided a sticker sheet of other holidays that some people might want to put in their planner and some don't, or just like more kind of like optional ones. This was a this was a test planner specifically, so I didn't end up using any of these. But that's really cool that they did that, and then they had some extra stickers at the bottom that you could use. Again, I didn't, but just so you had some space. And if you're wondering, by the way, why I have a test planner, it is because I run a planner sticker shop over on Etsy, and some of my stickers are specifically sized to fit in the Erin Condren planners. And so I make sure to have a test planner every year and usually end up buying a couple. Sometimes I get them for PR, sometimes I buy them, so that I can test my stickers in the planners and make sure everything works out and fits very nicely. If you are interested in checking out my planner sticker shop, I have links down below. I have the link to Etsy. There's also a coupon code, and then I also do a planner sticker subscription. I run that off of Cratejoy, and if you subscribe, you get even a bigger discount over the Etsy prices. So if you're interested in supporting me, you can check those out. If you don't want to buy anything but still want to support me, leave a comment, give me a thumbs up. I mean, for all I know, you might not like this. Give it a thumbs down. Secret, if you give a YouTube video a thumbs down, on the back end, YouTube counts it the same as a thumbs up does. So you're helping creators by giving them a thumbs down. That's why I encourage it. Thumbs down me all you want. So, yeah, that's how you support people on YouTube. So let's go ahead and flip on over to the divider pages. So this is going to be the page that is between each of the months. And one difference from last year is that this is a double page, but now that I'm looking at it, this one is actually, it looks like before July and at the very beginning of the book. So I was going to say that's a difference because last year they had, here, let me just show you. They had the month divider and then a notes page. But this one, because it's at the beginning of the book, it actually looks like it's might be, you can't quite tell because the actual tabs are a little cut off. But if I go to the first tab, okay, so this is the first spread. It's not the divider one. It's the first spread in the book that has a quote, and it typically in the past has been a full spread. So that is not necessarily a change, though the quote is, the very best plans emerge when different perspectives meet. I love the quotes every year, so maybe I'm not the best person to ask, but as I think I've mentioned it on this channel before, I was diagnosed with ADHD in February of last year. And so I've, over the past year, had to really take a look at my life in a different way and be like, okay, so what I've been struggling with all my life because of ADHD and not just because I'm not good at adulting. And so that's where kind of I've taken different perspectives of, you know, the neurotypical perspective versus, you know, perspective like with ADHD. Because if you aren't aware, people who have ADHD actually have different brain chemistry. So like, you know, you kind of, our brains just don't work the same way as people without ADHD. And that's actually, in hindsight, my ADHD, why I got into planning, because all of the stickers I would decorate my Erin Condren planners with would make me excited to look at my planner every day. And when I looked at my planner every day, I was actually much more likely to follow said planner and get shit done. So fun little story there. But yeah, looking at different perspectives and kind of meeting in the middle and changing my perspective has really been a theme for my past year. Last year's quote, if you didn't catch it when I held it up, is if you want something you've never had, do something you've never done. So there we have that comparison there. And then let's go ahead and jump into the weekly spreads. So first we have the vertical spreads here. And so it looks like this one is for June 2023, so next year. I am just flipping over to a spread in here. So it looks like the month and the year up here. The month is a tad bit smaller, and it looks like the text is a little bit more condensed than it was last year, if you can kind of tell. Can you tell I've been through graphic design school and I analyze this stuff back to front? And then we can also see down here that we have the current month mini calendar, which we had in that spot in this layout last year as well. And then looking at the columns, it doesn't look like too much has changed for these. It's very hard to tell with a picture like this, but it looks like all the dimensions are staying the same. They've stayed the same for the past quite a few years. So that's not really something that I can say like, oh, they change every year or anything like that. But one thing that the reason I always look at that is because as somebody who makes stickers designed for Erin Condren planners and also started using planners because of sticker planning, you know, when I look at the new planners, I'm like, are my stickers, either the ones I've purchased or in my case, the ones I make, going to fit in the new planner? Do I have to use up my stash before the new planners come out? And the past few years, the answer has been no, and luckily that answer still is no. So I am very, very happy about that. And you'll see at the bottom here, we still do have this design. I like to call them the bottom boxes, whereas a few years ago, it was either blank space or line space. And then I want to say it was 3 or 4 years ago, something like that, it got switched over to these bottom boxes, and some people use that space. Some people cover it up with like washi tape or big washi strips. In my sticker kit specifically, I actually sized stickers to go over that. But I mean, everybody does something different with that. And even in that space, like sometimes when I'm not using stickers in my planner and I'm just writing in pen, I'll like to just like write a little blurb about like how the day went or something like that. So I can go back and look at like, oh, how was my mood? You know, what happened? And if I actually kept up on it long enough, I could look for patterns, and that would be really cool, but I've never actually managed to do that. So all that to say that I like the bottom boxes, and it looks like if you do use sticker kits to plan, the vertical sticker kit should still fit perfectly fine. When you look at that, you look at the width, by the way, because you can always mix and match, you know, different heights of stickers, and you don't have to stay exactly within the boxes that they give you. But the width, you know, if you have a sticker that's too narrow or too wide, that's going to look a little wonky. So that's really what you look at. And that is why if you have a kit that's designed for Erin Condren planners, you can use them in Recollection vertical planners or the classic Happy planners that have vertical as well. I haven't personally used either of those planners, but I know that they both have the same width. So while the, you know, sizes of like the boxes might not be the same height, because you can just cover up all of those little borders, you know, you can kind of mix and match kits that are technically designed for different planners. But as I said, I've just stuck with Erin Condren when I want to go with a vertical planner. Because I don't know, it's the planner that made me fall in love with planning. Prior to using my Erin Condren planner, I did not like planning. I had only tried horizontal planning, which I mentioned is not my jam. I know some people love it, but like just the standard horizontal layouts just don't do it for me. And I could never keep up on it. And this vertical layout like clicked in my brain. I have experimented with some other horizontal planners that aren't necessarily what we're going to look at just in a minute. And sometimes if they're set up slightly differently, they work. But I still love the vertical layout. And it's also great for people like me who like work from home and don't have a lot of like things to schedule in their day. And so their planner is kind of a glorified decorated to-do list with the occasional meeting. And so, you know, a vertical thing kind of works a little bit better for that, in my opinion, for me personally. I don't think there's really, hey, that was rude, Coco. Anyway, I don't think there's really anything else I want to go over on this spread. As I mentioned, I don't have a horizontal or an hourly or a daily planner right in front of me to look at. So I am not going to be able to analyze it nearly as well as I did the vertical. That is just a limitation that I have as somebody who doesn't have those planner layouts in front of me. And so let's go ahead and look at this. I believe from my memory, we had the little bars at the top of all of the days in the horizontal previously. I don't know exactly if the month and year at the top has been changed. Again, not my area of expertise, but since there were some slight changes in the or in the vertical where the letters were slightly less elongated, I wouldn't be surprised if that's happening in the horizontal as well, just to kind of keep things consistent. With the changes, we do end up seeing a lot of consistency here between the horizontal, vertical, etc. when it can be. Just as in the vertical layout, we're not seeing a lot of decorations at the top. I know some years for the colorful layouts and in some of the other layouts this year, you'll see, different patterns or other things about the theme at the top, and we're not seeing that this year. And then it looks like this. I think the Erin Condren ones have always had one for every single day. I think it's some of like the smaller planners that sometimes put Saturday and Sunday in the same box. Correct me if I'm wrong, but based on my very inexpert horizontal layout experience with Erin Condren, that's kind of what I am personally seeing. I'm also seeing that we have any holidays right here. If you use a horizontal planner, let me know in the comments if that's where they've put any holidays in the past or if they've put them somewhere else. And of course, we also have the next month's calendar, or that month's calendar. I think it's always been in that general spot with the horizontal planners. So again, if you see anything I missed, I'm sorry, please leave it in the comments so that people watching can go over these and see what all those differences are with someone who's a little bit more experienced with this specific layout. Next, we have the hourly layout, and again, I don't personally use the hourly layout, so I'm not going to be able to comment nearly as in-depth as I can with the vertical layout, but it is very similar to the vertical layout in a lot of ways, and basically because hourly is a vertical layout, but with some times and whatnot, we do see a lot of similarities. So we have the same month and year going on up here. We have the same calendar down here. And then the actual part here, while it does still go vertical, it is a little bit different than the vertical layout because I'm going to flip back to the vertical layout real fast. Each of these columns are separate and distinct, whereas at the hourly, they're kind of all part of their own block. And the header goes across the whole week without any breaks. We start, it looks like at 6 a.m. and go to 7 p.m. I know in the past some people have said that they didn't like that it didn't go later in the day. And as somebody who tends to wake up pretty late and go to bed pretty late, and by pretty late I mean like 2, 3 a.m., I know for me that while I typically don't plan anything late in the evening, it would be nice to have the ability to have that. If Erin Condren doesn't sell stickers to go over the times for people that want different times in their hourly planners, then get on that. And if Erin Condren doesn't sell them, check out Etsy. I don't sell them specifically, but I'm pretty sure other people do. We have the same rounded corners motif that we started with a few years ago that I really like versus the angular corners. And we do have a little bit of space down here. I remember a couple of years ago, there was a little bit of a controversy, not a controversy, but a change where it previously, I'm trying to get this right. So it had been in, the hourly had been in half-hour increments, and then I guess to fit more hours in, maybe they changed it to hour increments or something like that. But regardless, it looks like they have lighter lines in the half-hour increments. So if you use an hourly planner, let me know what you think about that in the comments down below. I would think for me that would be pretty helpful. That way, I could put a sticker down or outline it or something like that pretty easily at the half-hour mark to show that something starts at the half hour. Or if something starts at like 45 after or something like that, I could, with a pen, kind of split that in half pretty easily by eye and not have to guess and things like that. So I think that would make it pretty easy to plan, and in some ways kind of a nice mix. But in my brain, sorry about the cat. Okay. In my brain, I feel like having the calendar go later into the evening for anybody, even people that might start at 6 a.m., even if they're not active and doing stuff at 9 p.m., might want to have that in their calendar so that they can schedule bedtimes or, date nights on Friday or Saturday or something like that. And there's a little bit of space down here that you could use for that, or you could use for notes or things like that. But, it's one of those things that if I wanted to use an hourly calendar, even though I get up late, I would want it to start at like 8 or 9 a.m. and go a little bit later. Again, I don't personally use an hourly physical planner, but if I were to, that's my personal preference. The last spread that we have here is for the daily spread. And so again, I don't use too much of this, but I do know that in general, it is kind of laid out the same way they have been previously, with the hourly section, the to-do section, month, and then a bunch of space for notes. In the past, this has come as a daily planner duo. So I would be surprised if that comes like that again. I forget if you could get one or the other spiral bound, but I'm pretty sure I saw that you could get just part of the year in binder format. Let's talk about binders real fast because this page, if I remember correctly from going down the whole thing, is just showing the spiral bound. But as I mentioned last week in my predictions video, we're almost guaranteed binder format this year. It probably just hasn't been pointed out yet. I would love to see more stuff for the binders. I've mentioned for the past 2 or 3 years, I want to see more inserts. And I would not be surprised if that is one of the sneak peek emails that we get, going over details of that. I also wouldn't be surprised if that's not, because we've been saying that for years and it hasn't happened yet, except for like budget sheet inserts for the A5 or something like that. So anyway, there's my insert rant for the day. It's like kind of obligatory at this moment. So hopefully you can get a good idea of this. I just realized what the time is. I actually have a meeting at 3, which is in a half an hour for me. And I know we've gone into great depth with the analysis for this one. So we're still going to go through the others, maybe point out some differences, but I might not go through everything in such detail. And remember, if you are here live and you have anything to add, any opinions, comments, etc., make sure to leave that in the chat, because once I'm done going through and looking at my analysis, I will go ahead and see if there are any questions or comments or opinions in the chat, and give my answer / rebuttal / that is awesome, depending on what you say. So I just wanted to let you know about that. That is the end of this little carousel. As I said, I don't have time to do this for every single one, but Lee will do it as much as possible. This is another one where my head's going to be getting in the way, so I'm going to have to be scrolling up and down. Totally sorry about that. So this is the neutral layout, as we talked about. So remember how in the colorful layout for Harmony, we had the different pieces of tissue paper, I guess, across the top, and we had it kind of poking into the notes, and we had the month and year centered, whereas this year, or for the neutral, we have it left justified, and we don't have any design in the upper border. And I really like that for a neutral planner. Again, This is really great for people that either don't like all the decoration or want to cover it with stickers anyway. And if you don't have that banner at the top, then you could put a sticker here and it doesn't have to reach exactly to the top to look cohesive. Whereas, with something like this, wrong one, this. If you have a sticker that is supposed to be a header sticker and it doesn't go quite to the top, it's going to be obvious that there's something that you're covering up, whereas you don't have that issue here. Other than that, a lot of it is pretty much the same. I mean, it's pretty much the same monthly layout. And I will mention here that we're looking at these monthly layouts in the context of the weekly planners and the daily planners a little bit too. But Erin Condren usually does a monthly planner that just has the months and a bunch of note pages. But that usually comes out 1 to 2 months after the rest of the Life Planner release. The same thing with the teacher planner and the academic planner. I don't think they usually all come out exactly at the same time. There's a little bit of staggering. But I just wanted to mention that even though I'm not discussing that here, that probably will be an option. It has been for the past few years. And that's actually the style of planner my mom prefers. So everybody has a different style that they prefer. My sister's in college and she loves the academic planner. So, to each their own, but I just wanted to kind of mention that. Anything else? We have these little highlighted underscore bits, which I think with the very simplistic neutral layout, is very nice. It adds just a tad bit of color, but not enough to be colorful on the actual pages. And then they're kind of subtle on the sides, but you can see that the tabs are pastels that match the color of the theme itself. Now let's continue to go on. So this is the same quote that we saw for the colorful version with the same intro spread there. It's just in the neutral color palette, and we can see the different neutral pastel colors in the tabs a little bit more here. And then going through for the actual weekly pages, again, I don't have any of these neutral planners from last year to look at, so I can't do the analysis quite as one-to-one as I did for the colorful vertical. But we do have, the same basic layout, just with a few differences. So we have the month and the year, we have our current month box down here, and then we have the same dimensions for the actual columns, but instead of the headers being colored and the bottom boxes being shaded, everything is just lines, or it actually might not be lines. You can't really tell in this particular photo, but in the past it's actually been like dotted lines. So it will be interesting once we actually get the planners, or if we get somehow a better resolution image, if we're able to see whether it's dotted lines or lines. And I forget what it was last year, so I'm not sure if it's lines. It would be a change from last year, but I want to say at least 2 or 3 years ago it was dotted lines. I don't think there's too much else to say about this that's different than the colorful. Let's go ahead and move on to the horizontal. Again, fairly similar here, except instead of the color, we have everything, just with lines. These boxes on the side of each of the days, if you remember in the colorful version, those were shaded, whereas they are not shaded here. And in the colorful version, we had a little color bar at the top of each of the days, and we don't have this here either. Looks like we have our month and day on both sides, and I don't remember seeing it on both sides of the spread on the other one, so I'm actually going to take a real quick look and see if I'm just hallucinating. Oh, we didn't see that side of the spread, so that's why I didn't remember it. But you can see what I'm talking about with the shaded boxes as well as the little colorful headers. And it doesn't even have a little outline for the headers like the vertical neutral did. It's just lines and then the lines here like the other one had for writing purposes. Again, Monday through Sunday with an extra box here for notes and your calendar. So that's the difference between the colorful and neutral there. Here for the hourly, again, it is pretty similar, except that instead of colorful, it's neutral. So we do have this header up here, but because it's the neutral version, it is not shaded in. Looks like all the dimensions are the same. Start at 6 a.m., end at 7 p.m. A little bit of extra space down here, either to add more hours or add notes. We don't have any decorations going on around the page today. Or, with this one, same basic layout, same basic dimensions, except instead of being colorful, it is just black and white and maybe some gray. As I said, I can't quite tell. And then lastly, we have the daily, and it is pretty much the same changes as the other ones. I know I've been going on forever, so I'm trying not to say the same things over and over and over again. About this, because we still have 2 more layouts to go, and again, I have to go in 20 minutes. So in Bloom is the floral version, and if I remember from last year, it was mostly based, their floral version was mostly based off the neutral, like with those extra elements. So we do definitely have some differences. For instance, the date or the month and year are in a script font, but it is to the side like it was in the neutral. And then we have a little bit of a border at the top, a little bit different than the colorful was, but it is in those neutral colors. Sorry about that. It is in those neutral colors. So in some ways it's a little bit of a mix between the two, except with florals. Everything else, it looks like it's the same dimensions, same basic layout. I mean, there's not too much they can do with the monthly page. It looks like this spread at the beginning does have a different quote. All the flowers of tomorrow are the seeds of today. So I love that they had a different quote for the different themes, but you can get a better idea of the florals and the colors. And it looks like the page tabs are either the similar or the same colors as the neutral layout. I don't have time to go back and compare, but that's what it looks like to me. And again, it looks like this is pretty much the neutral harmony layout plus. So we have our month here, but I'm pretty sure the other one had a year too. So that's interesting that we just have the month. Again, it is in script. We have the header down here in script as well for the month at a glance, but then we do have some decorations here on this side of the page, and we can't see it, but I would not be surprised if there's also some kind of up there as well. But other than that, it looks like the actual layout is the same as the neutral, kind of the neutral, as I said, with some florals and a little bit of different text. And it looks like the horizontal stays true to that as well. We can see that we have the month on both sides of the page. We also have the florals at the top. And other than that, it looks pretty similar to the neutral of the previous theme as well. Same with the hourly. We have a couple of different font changes, but other than that, it is pretty much the same. Now, is that how the dates were in the hourly in the other one? Am I just like hallucinating? Yeah, it was right after another. It looks like, actually, now that I look at it, they're slightly different fonts. I'm not sure if everybody there is familiar with the difference between serif and sans serif, but this is a sans serif font. And then the floral has what's called a serif font. And so it's kind of hard to tell with this particular image because of the resolution, but that's when like there's little lines that come off of some of the ends of the letters. So like you have an E, and then, at the top it has the E thing here, and then it goes down. Hopefully you understand what I mean. So that's a different font as well, even though it is not a script font. So we have different fonts for the rest of it as well. But other than that, the layout is pretty much the same for the hourly, and same with the daily. So we have different fonts, but same layout, same things everywhere. Things aren't really moved around, but I find it interesting that the daily is the only one that does not seem to have flowers across the top. I would feel like that would be really cool for the daily, because otherwise the only difference between, on the day pages, the only difference between this one and the last neutral one is the fonts. Interesting. All right, one more font to go. This is Color Blends. And so it looks like in some ways this is going to be kind of a mix between the neutral and colorful of Harmony. Sorry, I'm still getting all the names of everything down. So here we have the monthly page, and I mean, it looks very similar to the way the neutral one was laid out, except that the little underlines at the, below every weekday, instead of being a neutral color, are a vibrant color, but you still don't have the border up at the top, so you don't have to really worry about, if you do want to put stickers on it, it getting in the way. And I have to say, one of the things that a lot of people have mentioned to me is that they would love a combo of the colorful and the neutral. They want neutral on the actual like weekly and monthly pages, but they want colorful for the tabs and the pages in between the months and things like that. And so it looks like this in a lot of ways is a little bit more stripped down as far as decorations go. So while when we get to the weekly pages, they're not going to be completely like neutral, it looks like they're going to be closer to neutral than some of the other ones we've seen. Here we have that beginning spread, and we have the same quote as Harmony: the very best plans emerge when different perspectives meet. And you can see our colorful tabs. Again, I'm not going to take the time to compare to Harmony to see if they're all the same colors, but just based on my knowledge of Erin Condren colors, if they're not the same, they're similar. They tend to have the same colors for the months every year. And then here, let's go ahead and take a look at the weekly spread. So it looks like the vertical is pretty much the same as Harmony, except there is a gradient across all of the headers. But other than that, it looks pretty sure this is the same font. Again, I'm not going to show side by side today, but I love how you have a little bit of a gradient across all of the headers. That just gives it a little pop while still being fairly simple. And yeah, it just adds a little bit of visual interest, especially if you're someone that maybe doesn't like to use a lot of stickers or in your planner, or just wants a little color, a little something in there. And again, it looks like this is very similar to the colorful Harmony, except that these top bars are gradients. Go ahead and look at this page if you want to analyze it more, but since we've pretty much gone over it already, I'm not going to spend too much time. I'm just going to point out the things that are jumping out at me. These boxes on the side, just like the colorful Harmony, are shaded. And yeah, the gradient is the big difference. We have the gradient again here with the hourly. Other than that, everything looks pretty much the same. Again, it's hard to tell from a picture like this, but it appears that everything's the same dimensions between the various layouts, which would make sense. And looking at the daily, we got the same thing. These little bars are gradient, but other than that, it looks like everything is pretty much the same. I will compare fonts probably in between streams, and if there are differences in the fonts, I can point it out next week. When we analyze sneak peek email number 2, which I think it looks like is going to be the next thing we analyze, because we are done with this particular page and looking at, there we go, and looking at everything that we can analyze from this week. So as you saw, even though it was just introducing the themes, there is a lot of info that we could glean. And I honestly thought that this was going to go about 30 minutes, maybe some Q&A or people giving their input afterwards. But we went 45 minutes. It looks like we have a couple of people in the comments who are saying hello. Hi, Miss Lee. Hi, Abigail. But we don't have anybody currently in the comments who has given their 2 cents on what they think about what we've gone over today. Or I shouldn't say in the comments, I should say in the chat, because I am doing this live. So while I give kind of my wrap-up thoughts, I will let you guys in the chat, if you do have anything you want to add to what I've said, any opinions, anything I missed, please feel free to leave it in the chat. Otherwise, leave it in the comments, and I'll check my comments, obviously, after the fact. But in general, I like these themes this year. I mentioned last week that I didn't think there were necessarily going to be 3 themes again. I knew we were going to have multiples, but I'm like, I think 3 is a little extreme. And I still overall do actually have that opinion. I think 3 themes is a lot. But now that I really have dug into color blends, I really see that it's not being used as like a third theme. It's kind of being used as a hybrid between colorful and neutral. And I really do like that idea for a theme. So I'm a little bit more okay, I guess, with 3 themes than I could be otherwise, if that makes sense. So yeah, overall, I really like these themes. I really love the harmony theme this year. I usually like the standard, the main theme, the first theme that is mentioned. So that is pretty par for the course for me. In general, I tend to really love the themes. Well, for a while it was every other year. This year, I'm not in love with it yet, but I do really like it. And while I love the delicateness of the flowers, I have realized that it was even surprising to me. I didn't realize how much I kind of missed some of the bright colors that, we get in the brighter themes, because I don't typically think of myself as a bright color person. I don't know if you've noticed, but I usually wear black. I have like 5 things in my wardrobe that aren't black or aren't gray. And I like the look of colors. I usually just don't do colors in and of myself. So I will be getting the harmony theme for myself. I think I'm going to go with the colorful. I still haven't completely decided yet. I'm like 70 to 80% colorful. As I've mentioned, I like vertical planting, so I'm going to get that. Sometimes I do get the other ones just so I can test stickers in it, but my primary planner is going to be vertical because that is my preference. And I mean, I didn't really go into it because we don't really have any information, but we can also pretty much bet that we're going to see different accessories to go with all the themes, and there's going to be bundles and things like that. Really cool stuff so that you can get everything that matches. I always love the little snap-in bookmarks. Those are so handy, and they're a really great price, which is awesome because Erin Condren planners are not cheap. So it's great that a lot of the accessories are completely reasonably priced after you spend a ton of money on a really nice but expensive planner. Oh, I also forgot to mention that we couldn't quite tell, but we can also bet that the covers are going to stay interchangeable. So, you could always get, a couple of covers and change it out depending on the season or the time of year or whatever you want. All right, so let me go ahead and take a look at the chat. So Abigail says that I like the new florals this year. It is very pretty. I am actually really interested to compare that to last year's florals because I have one of those planners. I got it again for testing purposes, but I didn't actually end up spending too much time with it. And so looking at it just now without having them side by side, it looks very similar, just with like different flowers, maybe slightly different placement, but I'd love to actually look at how much of a change it is. But I know that, with flowers, there are so many different varieties that even changing the type of flower or a little bit of a change in color can really change kind of the overall mood or change, the style of the art of the flowers. Though in this case, it looked like it was pretty much the same style. So I am going to go ahead and sign off because I have to get going. Thank you to everybody who stuck through this super long stream. As I said, I didn't think it was going to be this long, but I did have a lot of fun digging into everything and analyzing it. And I'm super, super excited for the next streams that are going to be coming out. So I am tentatively doing another stream next week on Monday. I'm either going to be starting at 2 or 2:30 p.m. Pacific, I don't have the 3 p.m. conflict that I do this week next week. So I probably will do it slightly later, but stay tuned for that. I will go ahead and schedule that probably more than 2 hours in advance, but I'm not going to guarantee anything. Keep an eye out for that, because I absolutely love going through these sneak peek emails and teasing out all of the stuff that we can tease out and geeking out about planners. And I'd really love to have you here with me while we do that next week. So again, let me know what you think in the comments down below, and I will see y'all later. Bye!